The gala hall was glittering that night, crystal chandeliers, champagne glasses clinking, and laughter echoing from powerful men and women in expensive suits. Everyone was there to celebrate Clara Reynolds, one of the youngest self-made CEOs in America. She had everything: wealth, recognition, and an empire with her name on it. But behind the glossy smile she wore for the cameras, she was alone. Her closest family had long abandoned her. Her so-called friends only stayed as long as her money flowed, and when the lights dimmed, she went home to silence. That night, in the middle of the crowd, Clara excused herself to the rooftop terrace. The applause and music faded behind the heavy doors. She stood there against the city lights, her breath catching in her throat. For once, she let her walls crumble. Her whisper cracked through the night air. "Please, don't leave me here alone." And that's when she heard a voice. "Are you okay, miss?" She turned. It wasn't one of the CEOs or polished investors. It was Daniel Hayes, a quiet single dad who worked as a part-time driver for the event. He was still in his uniform, holding a tray of half-finished drinks he'd been asked to clear. Clara quickly wiped her tears. "I'm fine," she lied, the same lie she had perfected for years. But Daniel didn't buy it. "Look," he said gently, "I've seen a lot of people hide behind fake smiles. I do it sometimes too, for my little girl. But you don't have to lie to me." For a moment, Clara froze. No one ever dared speak to her like that. Not in her world. And yet, it felt comforting. The two started talking. She found herself sharing things she had buried deep, how her success came with betrayal, how the more she climbed, the lonelier she became. Daniel listened without judgment, only with the quiet patience of a man who had carried burdens heavier than his own shoulders should bear. Then, unexpectedly, his phone buzzed. He excused himself and answered. Clara overheard a tiny voice on the other end, his daughter. "Daddy, will you come home soon? I don't like being alone." Clara's chest tightened. The words were almost identical to her own earlier plea. Daniel smiled softly through the phone. "I'll be home soon, sweetheart. You're never alone, okay? Daddy's here." Clara blinked back tears. For the first time, she realized the power of love wasn't in boardrooms or billion-dollar deals, but in the quiet promise of never leaving someone behind. As they stood together, the rooftop doors burst open. Several executives called for Clara, urging her back inside for photographs. She hesitated. For once, she didn't want to go. She looked at Daniel. "Do you think," she whispered, "someone like me could ever have what you have? That kind of love?" Daniel didn't hesitate. "Love isn't about who you are in public, Clara. It's about who you are when no one's watching. And from where I stand, you're just a person who doesn't want to be left alone. That's human." That's enough. That night ended not with another champagne toast, but with Clara walking Daniel out to his car. She met his daughter in the back seat, a bright-eyed little girl clutching a teddy bear. The child looked at Clara curiously and said, "Are you my daddy's friend?" Clara smiled, an unpolished, real smile she hadn't worn in years. "Yes. Yes, I am." The girl nodded, satisfied, and leaned her head on her father's shoulder. Clara's heart ached, but this time it wasn't loneliness, it was hope. From that night on, things slowly changed. Clara began showing up for people, not as a CEO, but as a human being. She supported Daniel's daughter's school fundraisers quietly, anonymously. She spent less time at endless parties and more time learning what it meant to be present. And Daniel? He reminded her that sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is not to conquer the world, but to stand beside someone who feels like they're falling apart. The story doesn't end with Clara giving up her empire or Daniel becoming rich. No. It ends with two lonely souls finding a reason to believe in people again. Because sometimes, the most powerful rescue doesn't come from money, titles, or power. It comes from a simple act of kindness. From someone who refuses to walk away when you whisper, "Please, don't leave me here alone."